All right, welcome to week 8. This is week 8. We're dealing with what is it, chapter 7, the media. This week we want to learn about why the media is so important and why its role within American democracy has become so controversial. We want to talk about how the modern media have been digitally transformed and what impact social media, the big social media platforms, are having on American government. We're going to talk about how media influence shapes what we think. Talk a little bit about how journalists can help to shape the news. And then we're going to talk a little bit about the regulatory aspects of the media. So one of the problems that we see today is this idea of fake news. And the chapter in the text begins by talking about Christopher Blair, who worked in construction, which can be a tough way of making a living. When the Great Recession of 2007-2008 hit, he found himself out of work and found he could make money using his writing skills through political blogging on the internet. But he didn't, I mean, it's not that well paid, but he found he could make more money when he realized that Google's advertising platform paid more money when he got more clicks on his site. So he created a new website on Facebook during the 2016 presidential campaign and became, ironically, a major producer of fake news. Many of his stories were entirely fictional and calculated to outrage political conservatives. He had headlines like "Breaking: Clinton Foundation ship seized at Port of Baltimore carrying drugs, guns, and sex slaves." Ironically, Blair self-identifies as a liberal Democrat who basically made up the headlines in an attempt to ridicule susceptible conservatives. And his goal was to trick conservative Americans into sharing false news in the hope of showing what he characterized as their stupidity. So the problem was that his articles were widely shared, liked, and copied at other fake news sites. A Belgian computer expert named Maarten Schenk began tracking and debunking stories that were trending on Facebook and other social media platforms and found he could trace a significant percentage of it back to Christopher Blair. So what is misinformation? The essence of it is decontextualization. You're taking something that one fact may be true, and then you are constructing a context around it that is sort of a fake depiction of the reality. And so you're using a bit of information to convey a lot of false information. And so both political parties have become really concerned about this. And of course, that's sort of the problem that we face is that the two sides really, they both want to do something, but they so fundamentally disagree with one another that they can't really identify what it is that they really want to do. So the media are indispensable to American democracy, and freedom of press is protected under the First Amendment as an essential element of how we get to freedom of speech, religion, and assembly. The founders saw British censorship prior to the Revolutionary War as the essence of tyranny, and despite claims from both Republicans and Democrats that the media are biased, most Americans continue to believe that freedom of speech is very important. And so the media play three really important roles: informing the public, providing a public forum for the exchange of ideas, and acting as a watchdog to ensure that the wealthy do not get away, or that the powerful do not get away with things. So as you go through this material, obviously there's a lot of really important issues that we want to discuss. Should the media be regulated more aggressively? Should we loosen libel laws? This is something that's coming up in the news. Of course, former President Donald Trump wanted to sue people that said mean things about him, but as a public figure, he really, the likelihood of success was very minimal. Should we be regulating, the big social media platforms like Facebook and Twitter? There's a real question of whether those folks are capable of regulating themselves, because at the end of the day, their profit motives cause them to do things that probably are not particularly healthy for democracy. So all these things are issues that we can talk about. We should talk about them. Should we have a media that is entirely privately owned and publicly, publicly traded and run for a profit, or should we be investing more in public, media that would be independent of, partisanship and dedicated to trying to get the news out in the most objective way manner? It's a possibility. It's a suggestion. It's something that we can talk about. So anyway, this week I believe we just have, well, we have three items. We have another critical writing assignment about Facebook. Is it destroying journalism? And then of course we have the forum and the quiz. So let's do our work. Let's get everything in on time, and let's have a great week.